brought to you by the Fanduel Sportsbook, live casino and hotel. I'm Glenn Clark. He's Paul Valley. Austin Cault's sitting in with us for Weekend at Bookies again, and he's been a big winner at the Fanduel Sportsbook at live casino and hotel. Cleaned up on Scotty Scheffler before the Masters and put massive dollars on it. They put, what did you say, $5 million is what you put on it? Turn off. Yeah, sorry. $5 million was the number?
Yeah, $5 million.
Boy, that's a hell. Why are you here? Why wouldn't you be in Tahiti, man? What the hell are you doing with your life? He put $5 on it. But it was still a good bet. It was still a very, not as good of a bet as I've been making this morning, but a good bet nonetheless. All right, coming up on the program, we will chat with our buddy Brad Kronthal from Alloy Sports. We're going to dive into the data and look at the basketball slate and the Major League Baseball slate in just a couple of seconds. Andrew Stetka will check in with us for his Stets and Figures this week. Fanduel Sportsbook, live casino and hotel. That's where we're going to be next Thursday night. Myself and the NFL chick, Sarita Hubbard. We will be hanging out with you for the first round of the NFL Draft. Great giveaways, all sorts of stuff going on in the FanDuel Sportsbook. We want you to come join us. And we're actually giving away an opportunity for you to come join us. If you go to PressBoxOnline.com/contests right now, you can sign up to win a reserved table for 4 on what is going to be an insanely busy night, standing room only type of night. You got one of the you got the reclining seats when you were there for the Masters. You were sitting pretty, yeah. That was a good spot to be. You want to come join us for the NFL Draft? You can get a reserve table for 4, you and 3 of your friends, with a $300 tab. And that doesn't exclude booze. You can food, booze, it's all in there. $300 to use at your discretion that night in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. I did have one of you Weisenheimer say, what if I just want to use the $300 on me? To my knowledge, I think you can do that. If you were a selfish jerk who just wants to run up your own $300 tab and not invite any of your friends, I believe you could do that.
I think this goes back to the no friends thing. Like that.
It's just somebody who doesn't have any friends.
That would probably be me.
Again, but you can make friends.
all my best
you think
friends.
Austin wouldn't want to come? You think Austin wouldn't want to come with you if you told him that you had a $300 tab for the night?
Is Austin of age? He's got a young face.
Oh yeah, actually don't. No, you're a senior. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, he's good. He's good.
All right, Austin, you and me. If I win, you and me.
Yeah,
buddy.
right. I don't know if you're eligible. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna ask that.
Mrs. Valley might be eligible if you want to have her put in. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Why not have her do that?
Yeah, but then she's gonna want to.
And technically, Austin doesn't get paid, so you could have Austin, I think, register to win. And then I got bad news though. Austin's got friends. I met him, so you probably wouldn't make the cut.
I had an 8-man wedding party. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, right. But you had to walk around town saying, "What are you doing on Friday night?"
The one guy comes in. The one guy was in my wedding party. He comes in and comes into my restaurant. Doesn't even request to sit in my section. Jerk.
That's rough.
That's
a rough scene, bro.
What a
rough scene. Anyway, the point is, go to PressBoxOnline.com/contests and sign up to win a VIP experience for the first round of the NFL Draft in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. This man might not even know, because I don't know if he's been listening this morning. This man has a Ukrainian ping pong tournament named after him. For some reason, they forgot the other T, though. It's just the Stetka Cup. I'm not sure why that is. He is our buddy Andrew Stetka, and he's with us now on Weekend at Bookies. What's going on, pal?
You wouldn't believe how many different letters have been thrown into my name or taken out of my name over the years. So very well, maybe. I've had L's thrown into my last name before and R's. It's very, very
We've
strange.
decided, because I've been having so much success betting Ukrainian ping pong, that we are going to when you're home. Have you decided when you're coming to pay off your debts?
Yeah, I informed you of that like a month and a half ago.
It's in May, right?
Yeah, it's in like 3 weeks.
That's what oh, wow, it's 3 weeks? Oh, holy crap, it's April 21st. I guess it is in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
oh my.
very soon.
Hey, bro, a lot going on over here, okay?
I hear you. But yeah, it'll be in a couple of weeks.
Remind me, so the date is what is the actual date?
The date is the 13th of May.
Oh my God, it really is only a couple of weeks away. So while you're
literally
here,
3 weeks from tomorrow.
While you're here, we're gonna host the Stetka Cup. We're gonna have a ping pong tournament that day, and we're gonna establish odds. Are you any good?
I'm okay at ping pong. Yeah.
What about you, Paul? Are you any good? You're not good at turning the microphones on. I know that much.
No, I'm not good at ping pong.
Austin, you want to play in the Stetka Cup? You want in?
I could be in.
Are you good?
I'm not great at ping pong.
All right, good. Because if you're any good, we can't have you in this tournament. It's got to be all very average ping pong players. We'll open it up to any other average ping pong players. We'll
I
establish.
have a feeling I'm going to be at a disadvantage here with my back having just been waxed. I'm going to be
No, you'll be
discomfort.
You'll be fine. It's not like you'll be puking up a sardine and tuna fish juice.
Won't be the only thing waxed after this tournament.
Oh, Paul Valley talk. I let you get that one out. I didn't step all over you like you did me, jerk. All right, we're gonna do the Stetka Cup. The day on the the date is the 13th. You said that's the date.
Yeah, 3 weeks from tomorrow, the 13th of May.
The 13th, we're hosting the Stetka Cup. You know what we might do? We might just modify the conference room table into a ping pong table.
Like in the office.
Exactly right. Like, which almost makes it even better, right? Because it's not real. Like, there's nothing about the competition that's legitimate.
So the net we're going to set up is a bunch of
I think we should.
Plastic
I
Coke
think
tabs.
we should. I think that's exact. You're in charge now, all right? You're going to create the net for the Stetka Cup.
I'm on it.
All right, very good. All right, Andrew Stetka, you had a good week last week.
Yeah, we did all right. We won the Liverpool Manchester City parlay, and we won the Mets on opening day. A couple of the futures for the Masters didn't quite work out, but that's okay. Those are those are like longer shots that we've got to take, every now and again. We got to shoot some deep threes and hope that some of them go in.
Yeah, right.
They don't always.
Shoot or shoot, they say. That's what I heard. You should have been listening to Austin. He would have told you to play with Scotty Scheffler, and he bet $5 million on it. So I bet you feel stupid. All right,
Yeah.
Stets and Figures for this week. Where are you starting?
Well, are you a roulette player at all, Glenn?
No, I'm not actually. Well, hang on. Are we talking literally or figuratively here, Andrew Stetka?
Well, let's think. I mean, did you have a figurative roulette?
Yeah, I've done some things in my life that are a little bit like Russian roulette.
Well, I really like roulette, and what I like doing when I look at the board is I like seeing what numbers have hit a lot and going the other way. I think that's a pretty common trend, right? If you look at the Baltimore Orioles, there's something going on here that's kind of weird, and you guys have been talking about it a lot, but their pitching has been really good,
and
has led them
and the unders,
11-0-1 with the under this season. That's got to change at some point, guys. That's got to change.
Well, you say that.
The team and the teams they're playing have got to start scoring some runs at some point. And the over-under for runs in today's Athletics-Orioles game is down to 7. I'm hammering the over on that, even with a minus 122 vig, because I don't think this trend can continue. I get that these are two
Have
bad
there been
offenses
7
right now.
total runs scored in this series, Andrew?
Yeah, I hear you, and that's why I'm zigging here when you might expect me to zag.
It's very
it's
much.
also not really your typical getaway day. Oakland's staying home. The Orioles, it's not like they're coming back east or anything and just going to be up there swinging away. They're just popping down to L.A. after this game. Plus, the teams didn't really play late last night because they moved that game up. So it's not like it's a typical getaway game where you might expect, hitters to just go up there swinging and trying to get the game over with. I feel like, especially with guys like Tyler Wells and Paul Blackburn on the mound, I feel like we might see some runs. So give me the over 7 runs in the Orioles.
Isn't Tyler Wells pitched well? No pun intended. Hasn't.
He got lit up his first start, and he gave up 4 runs in the second inning, and then he was.
Blackburn has actually pitched pretty well, but come on, guys, are we expecting these things to continue?
Some of us. I don't know if you heard. Some of us actually like the team. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Yeah.
I still know who they are.
I'm saying this for today. I'm also saying the over/under number for the Orioles going forward a little bit, because these numbers are going to start to even out a little bit. You don't see things like stretches of 11-0-1 hitting very often. So I feel like those numbers will start to even out a little bit over the next handful of weeks.
All right, very good. Next on your list, Stets and Figures.
Let's go to soccer before we get into the NBA playoffs. Arsenal and Manchester United is a big matchup this weekend, and I really don't have a feel for who's going to win the match. It's a battle. Both teams are fighting for the coveted 4th spot for the Champions League right now, as I'm sure you know. And I don't think either team is going to sit back in this game, so I'm expecting goals. So I have a parlay of both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. That's plus 111. Both of these teams are not really that great defensively, and I feel like they have incentive to go after the game and not just sit back and accept a draw, because they're both chasing the 4th place right now. There's also the little added interest that I have in this match about Cristiano Ronaldo potentially returning. As everyone knows, he suffered a tragedy in his life earlier this week. He had a newborn pass away, but he's been back in training already with the club, and
Okay.
that's a guy who you always kind of can lean on to score a goal or two, even if he comes off the bench in a situation. On this game is on Saturday. I just feel like there are goals to be had in this game, so give me both teams to score in over 2.5 goals in the match at plus 111.
All right, I like that. That's bold. And your soccer parlays have been pretty good so far, so I might join you on that one. Andrew Stetka is with the Stets and Figures here on Weekend at Bookies. So you say basketball is next on your list.
Basketball for the next two. This Dallas-Utah series is very strange to me. Coming in, I loved Dallas, and even without Luka Doncic, I've been thinking the Mavericks are the play here. Utah, it's a weird matchup, and even though they won game one, you can still get Dallas to win this series at plus odds, even with the series sitting at 1-1. And I get that Luka Doncic might not be back tonight or even in game four, but Utah is a bad matchup with them when Dallas could play small ball. We saw that in game two. It kind of pulls Rudy Gobert out of position. And look, I know Utah has talent and everything, but I still like Dallas at plus 164 to win this series against Utah right now. We also have a little bit of history with this. Utah kind of blew it against the Clippers last season in the postseason. So I like Dallas at plus 164 to outright win this series against Utah because you're still getting those plus odds right now.
This one's tougher for me. I would need to see Jalen Brunson again and not saying to do what he did in game two, but if they're not going to have Luka Doncic, I do think they need to have someone who they can rely on, and it was clearly Brunson in game two. So I would almost need to see him do that, not that, but something like that again to feel comfortable before I could join. That's the first one that I think you and I are going to kind of separate on. Not saying that I hate it as much as I'd be uncomfortable making that bet because I think so much sort of rests right now on Brunson's shoulders because with Maxi Kleber, like I just don't know who it is that you're going to rely on when you need to score points.
I also think this is a little bit of a bet on Doncic actually returning by game four. I don't know that he'll be back for tonight. He's been upgraded to questionable, but and a lot of times when we see that, we do think that these guys are going to make a return. But I do think this is a little bit of a bet, again, at plus odds on, with the value being there on him actually returning by game four or game five in this series. And I think that obviously gives the Mavericks a huge boost. You're going to see the line in each individual game shift probably by 2.5, 3 points when he does actually get back into the lineup.
All right. And the last one, Stets and Figures.
The last one you're not going to like, and I don't like it either.
You son of a bitch.
Be completely honest with you. But we're going to go to the Suns-Pelicans series, and, you know, Friday night, this series returns. I like the Pelicans on the money line in game three, and frankly, I'm probably going to bet them in game four as well. Not expecting that I'm going to win both, but I am expecting that the Pelicans win one of these games at home. When Devin Booker has missed games this season, the Suns are 8-6 without him.
Yep.
And that's not a terrible record, but you'd like it for it to be a little bit better when you're talking about the postseason. But I went and dove into who those games were against. Those 6 losses were against only 2 of those teams that are really, like playoff worthy, Golden State and Milwaukee. The other ones were to some pretty bad teams. Granted, they were kind of down the stretch when Booker wasn't hurt. He was more resting, but they only have one of those 8 wins over a playoff caliber team. And that was the Boston Celtics when Booker has been out. So I don't, we saw a lot when Chris Paul was out with the Suns and how they didn't really have to do a whole lot in order to change. Booker is still kind of the catalyst offensively for them, but they average 6 points less per game when Booker does not play. I still think that the Suns can win this series. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to bet on the Pelicans to completely knock the Suns out, but I do think that the Pelicans can get one of these games at home and at least push this to maybe a 6 or 7 game series.
Okay. All right. I can't tell you you're wrong. I think that the Suns will be better than they were in the second half of that game the other night, particularly because their transition defense was just so god-awful. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. And they're a good defensive team. So that stands out a bit. I also think they got a little bit more time. Now, the real question is, again, it's the same story. It can't be Chris Paul every night. Like that.
Right.
I said that even after game one before Devin Booker got hurt. You cannot be counting on Chris Paul to have performances like he had in the second half of Game 1 every night to try to win a title, that ain't going to work. So who could it be? Well, I think the only other answer is Bridges, really. I don't trust Campaign. I don't trust Cam Johnson. Bridges is kind of the only other reliable player that I would count on to be the guy for possessions to go through. I hear you, and I think that your thought process is right. I think that they're going to split the 2 games in New Orleans. But
and if you can get plus odds, which you're getting right now on the money line,
then you bet both of them. Right, correct. You end up that ends up being a profit at the end of the day. I hear you.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at is taking the underdog to win one of the 2 games. It's interesting the point you make about not being able to rely on Chris Paul like with the second half that he had in Game 1. You also can't really rely on things like, and obviously you can't rely on Booker himself, but things like Devin Booker's first half in Game 2. Because they were only up by 4 points at half.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I mean that doesn't show me. And the other thing that's a kind of a grander point I think is that the depth in the NBA playoffs overall this season feels like, and this is a theme that's been kind of going throughout. We don't know who's good.
Correct.
We know there are favorites. We know there are good teams, but the depth throughout the NBA postseason is, I think, a little better than we realize. It's better than it has been in years past. We saw it last night with the Bulls beating the Bucks. I mean, who would have thought, in years past, you wouldn't see those kinds of things like the Bulls going on the road and beating the Bucks in a game. And I think the Pelicans are just, we look at them as an 8 seed and, but I think they're better than the typical 8 seed from season past.
They are certainly better than their record indicates because they're a drastically different team than they were at the beginning of the season when they were abysmal. And CJ McCollum's arrival was a godsend to that franchise and everything they were going through and the direction that we thought they were headed in with the Zion Williamson disaster completely changed based upon his arrival. Look, I'm not knocking the Pelicans anyway. I think we're having a completely different conversation. To your point, that was Devin Booker going to finish with 75 points the other night? No, probably not. But I don't think they were losing that game if Devin Booker plays in the second half. I just don't think that they look as lost as they did in transition so frequently if they were running better possessions with Devin Booker on the floor. So,
and this, of course, is purely a bet on his absence. I mean, I think
and that's the word.
A game with him not around.
Yep, the word being that he's not going to play for either Game 3 or Game 4. All right, Andrew Stetka, good stuff. At @Stetka on Twitter is how you follow him, and Paul's going to post those props or those Stets and Figures on our Twitter account if you missed any of them. We will, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks, and then we'll only be a week out from the glorious day that is. Appreciate you, my friend.
All right, Glenn. Cheers.
It's Andrew Stetka checking in with Stets and Figures. By the way, we didn't even talk about Joel Embiid. Holy crap, man. Holy hell. Like I literally just to myself I was sitting on the bike last night after my lacrosse game, and I was getting a workout in upstairs, and I just to no one at all yelled out "Holy S!" Like it's one of those moments where you're like, "Holy crap!" All of the momentum on the side of the Raptors. The place is as loud as I've ever heard a building. It's insane in there. They have worked the 76ers defensively on the final possession, forcing them to call a timeout before they're about to turn it over with 0.9 seconds left on the shot clock, 3 seconds left in the game. Everything is slowing the way of the Raptors, and then credit Doc Rivers for calling a brilliant play out of the timeout. And I don't remember who tweeted it, but somebody tweeted last night, I'm saying this verbatim, we have to really think about the world we live in where casually a 7-footer just drilled a fall-away 3 at the end of a game, and we don't even react to it like it's a big deal. Like, we're just sort of like, yeah, that's what he does. Basketball is different, bro. Like, it is a different sport, man, than what it is that we saw when I was growing up. Like, this is nuts. Dude's 7 foot tall, and that's the guy you're drawing the play for to knock down a triple at the end of the game. That's the guy who you desperately want the ball in his hands. It is a different sport, man. That's why Isaiah Brockington's 6'4", and he's being told, you are way too small for this game, bro, because look at this. Look at this. Now, again, Steph Curry still exists, so let's not, make it seem like it's entirely a tall man's game, but bro, that was wild. And the Sixers, man, you can't help but wonder. You just can't help but wonder. I thought they were going to be in for a battle. I know the Raptors have been depleted, so that's hurt them. I thought they were going to be in for a battle in this series. You guys probably remember I told you to take the series spread on the Raptors. could still win 3 straight. They could still cash in. Could still happen. The Sixers look legitimate. There is a new betting favorite in the NBA playoffs, and I'm not surprised by that. That's just it speaks to the significance of the Devin Booker injury. It casts a shadow over the entirety of the playoffs, but that's the way it goes now. And the new betting favorite. Oh nope, sorry, I take that back. It's flipped again. Some places it might still be the Warriors, but in the Fanduel Sportsbook, the Suns, I guess because the news was that he was only going to miss the 2 games, the Suns have reverted back to being the favorites. They're at plus 320. The Warriors at plus 370. The Celtics, I'm a little bit surprised the Sixers, the way that they played, they're still at 11-1 in the Fanduel Sportsbook. That might be a bet that is worth dipping a couple of bucks on right now based on how they've played out of the chute. We come back in. Our buddy Brad Kronthal from Alloy Sports is going to check in with us, and we're going to get some thoughts from him. He's going to dive into the data of both basketball and baseball betting. That's next. This is Weekend at Bookies. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new Fanduel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Baseball is back, and so is the spring seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash-fried pork belly with our popular Korean No. 2 sauce, and take a bite out of the Crunch Burger, topped with home run sauce, white American cheese, and house-made chips. It also features irresistible options like a baseball-cut sirloin with blue cheese, grilled shrimp with garlic butter, and a strawberry salmon salad. And then there's the closer, the Cracker Jack Sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jack. This menu will be gone at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. GloryDaysGrill.com to find out more. Great food, good sports.
Baseball is back. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
You can find us live every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon talking all things Orioles and Major League Baseball.
Like the debuts of Adley Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez.
And how the rotation and bullpen are rounding into form. Watch us live at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports.
Or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio.
That's the Bat Around, live with the latest in baseball coverage every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
If you miss anything, don't forget that you can find whole shows later on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon Podcasts. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on Weekend at Bookies, brought to you by the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. As we continue to get you ready for a busy weekend, don't forget that if you want to be there for the Fury Whyte fight, it is Saturday afternoon. Kind of a wonky thing. We're used to fight night. This is fight afternoon on Saturday, as Tyson Fury takes on Dylan Whyte. Coming today on Live Casino and Hotel Maryland social pages, I got a couple of pieces of advice for you about the fight. Unsurprisingly, Tyson Fury is an overwhelming favorite. I wouldn't just bet Tyson Fury to win. I would do some other things in the betting, but I'm going to let you find that out. You should be following Live Casino and Hotel Maryland on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you are, you will get my advice a little bit later on today. Also an interesting NFL draft prop that I found that I think you guys should think about playing. All of that coming today on Live Casino and Hotel's social media pages. You'll be able to check that out. Right now, we want to check out our buddy Brad Kronthal from Alloy Sports. He was in here a couple weeks ago telling us all about the new platform. And as I told him then, I am a dumb guy, Brad. You know that about me. I am a very stupid man. And even I'm starting to figure out how this all works. It's still almost dizzying, the amount of information you guys have, but I'm starting to figure it out a little bit.
Glenn, don't undersell yourself. You're a smart guy.
No.
You know what you're doing.
No,
so, we're just trying.
You're being very nice now, Brad. I am a very stupid man. Every time, I almost get offended by too much information. I'm like, you got to dumb it down for me. Like I'm 5 years old. Explain it to me. Let's you and I talk. I know I was following you guys on social this week and seeing some pretty good basketball betting advice. Remind everybody how the platform works and how it is that you guys use it for betting NBA playoff games.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we let sports fans, of all experience levels come onto our platform and build their own betting strategies. You see a lot of the market, a lot of that is being picks provided or paying for picks, but you don't really know what goes behind those picks or what's behind the curtain, so to speak. So what we let you do is come on our platform at Alloy Sports and really build a strategy of what you think leads to winning when it comes to stats. If you're an NBA guy, you think three-point shooting is important, you think steals are important, you think offensive rebounds are important, you plug that in and we tell you in real time whether it's worked against the spread or money line straight up in different spread buckets and ranges. We tell you basically how it's worked, and if it has worked, we tell you the games that are going to be profitable, that fit your criteria that night or that week for the games to bet on.
All right, so you guys were using a get out and run data point. Explain that to me.
Yeah, so last week we used more of a defensive strategy. We went 5-2. What we're trying to push through our platform is that we're not limited to just one really great algorithm. There's really an infinite amount that you can build that are profitable. So this week we're pushing what we're calling our get out and run strategy. And this is focusing on teams that, are good in transition, on fast breaks, convert at the other end when you're in transition, force some turnovers. So, the stats that went into that were fast breaks, points, 2-pointers made, and then points off turnovers. We looked at teams that are good at that, and then we filtered out a couple things as well. So we're looking at when our team has opponents that are above 500. So saying, the whole category of teams that I want to loop into my criteria, they must be playing an opponent that's good. We're in the playoffs, so we don't want to dilute our sample size, with teams that aren't good. We're in the playoffs, and we want to only play good teams. Then we wanted to see teams on a winning streak, so just coming off, any win. So we've had a really successful strategy so far. Basically, we found the heavy favorites winning at an 83% clip this year and the low favorites winning at a 65% clip on the money line. So we're looking at a few games tonight as well.
Oh, that's very interesting. I certainly saw that the Pelicans had success in transition the other night, but I don't want to talk about it, Brad. I'd rather not. I'd save that for another time. Anything you can tell us about data that I can look at for tonight's slate?
I can, and so if you go on our Twitter, we actually put what we call our forecast. We're not dumb. We know that there's no such thing as a sure lock in sports betting, but we know that if you bet these successful strategies in the long run, you are going to end up profitable, and we tell you that on our site. So tonight, and we're already 2-0 this week using the get out and run strategy. Tonight, we're looking at the Grizzlies money line, which I see on Fanduel is at -134. And then we're looking at the Warriors as well at -142. We haven't even posted that yet, so you're hearing it first on Glenn Clark Radio.
Oh, boy. All right. So you're saying Grizzlies and Warriors. I'll go ahead and do that right now, my friend. I will go ahead.
And for those that are new to sports betting, money line just means straight up.
Straight up
all they have
winner,
to do is win. They don't need to cover a certain point spread, so we just like the Grizzlies and Warriors winning tonight.
And that's obvious. I think sometimes during the regular season, people say, well, that's no fun. I think in the playoffs, it's far more difficult because the teams are all trying. Like, they all want to win these games, unlike during the regular season when you just never know who's lining up and saying, yeah, we don't care. We're not playing any of our players tonight. And so it's a different scenario. I'll tell you that I constantly get reminded whenever I bet the spread just how little these teams care about that. When I'm like, man, this team is kicking this team's ass. Everything's good. And then you get to the end of the game, and they just don't give a rat's ass about covering your spread. I get that reminder constantly. He's Brad Kronthal. He's with us from Alloy Sports. All right, Brad, I know you're a baseball head. I know that's you live and breathe it. Give me a couple of things that you're looking at in today's slate, the pitching matchups, a couple things that might jump out at you related to today's baseball slate.
Yeah, it's actually really fun once the betting is incorporated. I mean, what better place to start than with the Orioles? One awesome stat this year, if you're watching the O's, you're like, oh, they're not scoring very much. Well, you're right. So the under has hit is 11-0-1 this season on Orioles games. So if you bet the under, you've won every time and pushed once. If you bet the over, you've lost every time. So today I've already seen some line movement. It was at 7.5 for the total run score between the O's and the A's today. It's already moved to 7 on FanDuel. So obviously a lot of people are betting on that under. If it ain't broke, let's go back to the well. I would go the under as well. It's Tyler Wells for the O's and Blackburn for the A's. Nothing shows me that this offense is just going to break out. And I think Wells has some really intriguing pitches with his set, and the bullpen pieces have been well enough for the Orioles, especially in a big park like Oakland, to hold them down again. So, why not? Just keep that in the under on the O's.
Our buddy Andrew Stetka just tried to convince us to play the over tonight, and I think essentially his argument was, well, it can't continue this way, right? Like, it can't work this way forever. So it was a little less data-driven, I think, his thought process. I think it was more, just there's no way that this can continue like this forever.
Yeah, they call that the theory of regression, and for me, I totally get it. I mean, they're not going to go 160 and 162-0 on the under this year.
You
but,
say that. Well, I guess
Oakland.
They can't because there was a push already, so they can't go 162.
Yeah, there was a push, and so I'm just saying it's one thing if they're in Camden Yards playing, Boston or the Yankees. They're still in Oakland, so I'm going to take the final game of the series with the under in this as well.
It's two bad offenses in a ballpark where balls the biggest foul territory in the history of the sport. I mean, my God, like I actually agree with you and disagree with Andrew Stetka. I'm going to continue to play the under because, again, I'm not sure if these teams played 4 more games, they'd score a total of 7 runs combined. I'm just not sure if that would be the case. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
I don't think they're as juiced up either. If you saw the crowd yesterday at the Coliseum, holy cow, I think you could have counted maybe on one hand how many people were there.
This is where, if I were an Oakland A's broadcaster, I'd have to pull out the line, well, there might be 2,000 people here tonight, but they're allowed to. I would have to just do it for the fun of it. Give me anything else baseball slate-wise today that jumps out at you, man.
Yeah, I like Toronto and Boston. I have my own feelings about Toronto. Last year I had a futures bet on them to win the AL, and they just couldn't sneak into the playoffs. I liked them if they did. Gausman, starting for Toronto. We know him well. Pretty bad in his career in Boston. He's got a 4.57 career ERA. Red Sox going with Hawk tonight, or this afternoon, I should say. So I like Boston today on the money line right now. It's at -102 on FanDuel. It's just a tough place to pitch, and it seems like guys, once they have a decent sample size of games in Boston, it's hard to reverse that trend. It's kind of like you're either good at it or you're not.
Yeah.
Like Miguel Gonzalez seemed like with the Orioles, he was good in Fenway.
Yep.
And it's just like it's one of those places. It's just you are what you are, and I just see Boston on a day game getting to him.
Brian Madders was good too, but it was because he was only allowed to face David Ortiz. They would just personally bring him in, say, you get Ortiz. Thanks, bud. Hell of an effort. See you next time. That was the role that worked. I'm with you in your theory. I'm just legally opposed. What is it, Dan Duquette said? I'm philosophically opposed to participating in betting on the Boston Red Sox. It's just the way. It's like a religious thing for me. I'm sure you understand. It's Passover time right now. It's Easter was over the week. In my own personal religion, what we celebrate is not wanting to see the Red Sox win. So I'm just not capable of betting money on them, Brad. That's just the way that works for me. Anything else that you want to touch on baseball wise?
Yeah, I think there's a fun game in the White Sox in Cleveland today. Jose Ramirez, I mean, he's minus money to get a hit today. He's got an 11-game hit streak to begin the season. That's a prop bet in that game. They're facing Dylan Cease. I find this game to be really intriguing, and to look at the first 5 innings. Cease is really good. He's got some really great stuff. He's a great pitcher up and coming for the White Sox. I mean, the Guardians.
That's right. Trust me, we're going to be doing this for a long time, bro.
I like the Guardians at +118 in the first 5 innings. That's a fun way to bet baseball. Really, it's just going with the starting pitcher, not relying on bullpens, assuming starters will go those 5 innings. I mean, Cleveland's hit the ball really well. Jose Ramirez. I mean, to be minus 160 just to get a hit just shows you how good of a hitter he is to lay that kind of money.
Unreal, man.
So I like Cleveland in the first 5 just to have the lead at the end of that. But, I mean, it's just telling you, so how good is this guy to have? I mean, they're saying this guy's expected to get hit every day. That's nuts.
That's nuts. All right, you like Cleveland to lead after 5. That's a unique bet. I like that. I might play that myself. All right, buddy. Remind everybody about Alloy and where they can find out more.
Yeah, so come join us, alloysports.com. You can find us on social at Alloy Sports. Come see us on social. We're posting our forecasts and good strategies. Take those strategies, plug it into the platform. We're offering 1 month free trial. You don't even have to put a credit card. So come in and find some winning strategies. And at the end of the day, you're betting to win money. So we're going to help you do that.
And you are personally on Twitter at?
I am personally on Twitter at B_Kronthal, I believe. Kronthal.
That's where I got you. So make sure you give him a follow there. Brad, appreciate it, brother. Let's talk again soon, all right?
Sounds great, Glenn. Keep it up. The great stuff.
Thanks, buddy. Brad Kronthal, my old pal, former intern of mine, and now he's going to be making lots and lots and lots of money with a tech company, and I'm not doing that, but that's okay. I'm making lots of money betting on Ukrainian ping pong, so I'm good, baby. You got to worry about your old pal Glenn. Things are great over here. That's all I needed. Let's see if there's something I can go bet right now. Go take a look at it. You got a preposterous prop for us?
I do.
All right.
I do. I was going to try and bet on table tennis, but I couldn't find anything, unlike you.
There's plenty of it. There couldn't be more.
I went to the Fanduel Sportsbook. They only had one, the check-in or whatever it was.
It might not have been happening in the moment. Yeah. You gotta double check.
I did. I checked like 3 times. Anyway.
I'm not mad.
Anyway.
I'm not mad. I'm definitely not mad.
And I was going to try and bet on cycling, and I couldn't figure out who was an American cyclist.
I'm listening. You got to bet some cycling.
So for this bet, we're looking at the USFL. On Saturday night, the Birmingham Stallions will take on the Houston Gamblers. I know nothing about these teams aside from their names. And based on that information, I'm taking the Houston Gamblers to win outright at plus 125, and I'm parlaying that with the
It is a gambling show, after all.
And I'm parlaying that with the over on 41.5 at plus 125, giving me...
Why are you doing that? That's not related to their name.
Just hear me out. Giving me plus 350 odds for the parlay. The Gamblers need this. They have to keep their gas and electric running. They got to bring home dinner for their family. They barely hung on for a 17-12 victory against the Michigan Panthers last week.
Sounds like the over didn't hit.
And they were shut out in the second half, while Birmingham narrowly edged the New Jersey Generals 28-24, which I think was the highest scoring game in the league last week, with a game-winning 9-play, 50-yard touchdown drive left 23 seconds left on the clock. So I look at the fact that the Generals scored 28 points, they gave up 24 points, and the Gamblers did score 17 points in the first half of their game. So I think they're going to hit the over, and I think the Gamblers, who need this badly, are going to pull out the victory here. Gamblers, baby.
I think betting the over in the USFL is a mistake. The quarterbacks stink.
41.5. They just got to score 20. It's got to be 22-20.
Brother, the one game was 17-12 last week.
I know.
And all of
the Gamblers, baby.
All of the stuff that I'm seeing on social media has been about all of the defensive plays that are being made, which is a polite way of saying the quarterbacks are no good, which is what we know. We know the quarterbacks are no good.
That's why this is a preposterous prop.
It is preposterous. You're right about that. I am not going to join you on this one. Normally, I like where your head's at, and I'll go follow up with you, and I'll say, you know what, for the fun of it, I'll go throw some bucks on it. But I'm going to choose not to on this one, only because it involves you. Now, if you want me to play the Gamblers, it's the Gamblers outright or the Gamblers to cover?
The Gamblers outright at plus 125.
And I would play the under. I'm with you. I'll roll with that. I'll do that. In fact, I'll go do it right now.
All right, man.
Right now. We're on
always naysaying, but here it.
I just involving the over in the USFL.
I'm taking it.
They're no good. They're no good.
25-17 Gamblers.
No good.
25-17 Gamblers.
Right.
You heard it here.
All right. Listen to you. Just eking out a cover. Just. Sweating it out to the until someone takes a safety on a punt at the end of the game in order to get you the 2 points you needed, and then you throw a naked parade.
All of this based on the names alone.
All right, man, I don't blame you for that. That part I'm good with. All right, I'm gonna let you. You're gonna. So Austin, who's been sitting in with us this morning, I'm gonna let you. You're a Giants fan, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So there is a prop available that you can parlay the Giants to. Oh, they might have taken that down. Oh, that's a bummer. All right, instead, what I'll do. The position of the Giants' first drafted player. All right, so they've got 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
What numbers are they? 5 and
7.
5 and 7. That's exactly right. The position of the so this would be the 5th pick unless they move, right? The position of the Giants' first drafted player. The favorite O-line at -125, then D-line at +250, cornerback +340, safety +850, linebacker 10-1, quarterback 20-1. So think about what they're going to do. Think about potential value, all of those things. How are you betting the position of the first drafted player for the New York Giants?
Wait, did you say there was an edge one or a linebacker one?
There was. So they're not doing edge.
Okay.
So essentially, and this is where actually some of these bets could get wonky. Like for the Ravens, if they draft Jermaine Johnson, that'll count as a defensive lineman because he's listed as a D end.
Okay.
So it's about listed position. Most of the edge rushers, I feel like, are listed as D ends and not as stand-up linebackers. And so I think linebacker is basically more middle linebacker than it is edge rush.
Yeah, I think obviously the favorite being offensive line. I think that's what's going to happen. I've heard a lot of rumors that they're going to try to go for offensive line, and then they're even thinking about trading that 7th pick and trying to move back. But I am kind of interested. What did you say the defensive end value
Defensive line value is +250.
I think it's kind of interesting because I think if one of those guys falls like a Kayvon Thibodeau, that could be an interesting pick. Like because he's just so talented to pass on him if he's there at 5. So
all right.
I think offensive line is probably what they're going to be doing.
Okay.
They're kind of committed to Daniel Jones now for one more year. So
for those that are interested, the odds for the Ravens, it's the favorite is D-line +190. O-line +250, cornerback +340, wide receiver +340, safety +850. So that scenario you guys are talking about where what if Kyle Hamilton were to fall, right? Like what if he were to keep falling and he's just suddenly sitting there and you're like, wow, he's somehow sitting there at 14. Well, if you think that could play out, it could pay off at +850 for you if you think that were to be the case. A lot of people seem to think that he won't get past Washington at number 11, even if he were to fall to that point. And then linebacker +1,600. Those are the odds for the Ravens positionally with their first drafted player in the NFL draft. All right, that'll do it for us. Austin, where are you social media-wise?
Just go for my Twitter. It's just my name, Austin Kalt, so AustinKalt.
And what do you have coming up at PressBoxOnline.com?
Just whatever
Well, I don't think
you interview
but,
next.
But Cole Strange hasn't been posted yet, has it?
That is not yet.
So
Cole
that'll
Strange
be
will
next.
Going up, yep.
Of course, Chattanooga offensive lineman, really interesting cat. What was it? We were talking about food, and he dropped
barbecue.
Yeah, right. We had a great. I loved our chat with Cole Strange. It was a lot of fun.
He's a cool guy.
Yep, no doubt. All right, appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us, man.
Thank you so much.
If you want to do it again at some point, let me know. We'll make it happen. That's Austin. That's Paul. Thanks to the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. I'm Glenn Clark. This has been Weekend at Bookies.